Bishop, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sure I'm sure. I mean, we've seen so many reactions since the president spoke on Tuesday. This is welcome news. But churches are going to have to ensure that there is compliance this weekend, especially because from what the minister was just saying now, these higher numbers or increased numbers will be allowed to continue if the infections remain low.
Absolutely, I endorse the minister's position, and I think that we actually should not even need the government to tell us to be careful. We have to take this as our responsibility. We are saying that today, for example, is the day of the Last Supper, and where Jesus says, "Love one another." That's our commandment. And love in COVID time means you make sure that you are not responsible for the infection of the next person. And you may not know it because you may not have symptoms. You may be totally asymptomatic, but you're carrying the virus. So because of that, all of us must make sure that we're strict with and in churches, therefore, that are worshiping, we are asking for strict attendance with these protocols, that each congregation must have a COVID task team that's looking after these things. At least that's our guidelines have been like that for the past year. But they must now make sure that the numbers stay where they should be, as well as all these protocols are kept for the sake of the next person. In Africa, we say this, Ubuntu. It is a kind of a principle, a life principle of love, that you care for the next person, not just for yourself.
Now, as a council, your members, are they assuring you that they will adhere to these restrictions? They will do their utmost to make sure that the infection rate remains low?
The members of the SACC have had now for the past, since May, what we call guidelines and norms and standards for conducting your services. That has got every detail of what must be done. That's why I'm talking about the COVID testing, because every congregation should be having one. And that's where they actually even talk about how to manage the collection plate in a way that's not infectious. All those things are in detail. We have reinforced them over and again. We did again 3 or 4 weeks ago. We met and with the task team that then, with the church leaders that are commissioned to actually then look at how we're going to deal with Easter. We said, Easter, no coming together. That was before the president said it. No coming together in one station. Everybody must stay where they are so that we keep the numbers low. We didn't even know what would be allowed, because we said if they come together, they're going to have to cook, they're going to eat. When they do that, they take off their masks, and that's a spreader. We must make sure that that is not done. And we also said that must not only be about the church, but their families as well. We say at home, please, for the next 3 months, no parties or birthdays or anything. Keep it only to the people you live with. Because if it picks up now, it will not go away as we go into the winter. So we're very concerned about making sure that we keep the numbers very low. But I want to take a moment to say we feel for the churches that are large are not able to take advantage of the 250. So we're not celebrating that the smaller churches are able to do this while the other sisters and brothers in other churches are not able to. But we appreciate the sacrifice that they are coming to, particularly think about ZCC, the 2 ZCC churches, all the other big churches, as well as the mega churches that have got 6,000 seaters. That please, let's all try to live with what we have, but let's think about the others as well.
Would you encourage them to make use of the 500, maximum 500 outdoors restriction, those bigger churches, if the weather permits?
They have got the option, especially because they've got big yards, most of them. But it's almost hopeless for the pilgrim churches like ZCC. Who's going to pilgrimage for 500? Who do you leave the rest of? They have millions all the time. It's a huge sacrifice. I mean, they have been on hold since last Easter. And it is something that all of us that are worshiping should be actually offering a prayer also for the ZCC and their members at this time.
So
I want to say one more thing. Though, that precisely because we expect that not everybody is going to be able to worship, we have made an arrangement as SACC to make sure that there is a Good Friday service that is ecumenical, the number of the different churches participating at 9 o'clock tomorrow, and then Easter at 11:30, so that everyone can be able to watch that. And it is focused on COVID. It includes tomorrow's one, a memorial of those health workers that have passed away. So it is actually quite significant for COVID. It's on SABC 2.
Okay, finally, Bishop, before we let you go, your connectivity is not holding up nicely now. What will your main message be then in terms of the lead up? I mean, today you said it's the Last Supper. Tomorrow, of course, is Good Friday itself. Then you've got Sunday coming up. What would your main message be to anybody who's watching you now, who's planning something around this Easter weekend?
First thing is to say, if it is crowded, don't go in. It doesn't matter how much you yearn for your worship. Crowded places we stay away from. If it's crowded, don't go in as a worshiper. Why? Because you might get an infection that you bring back to people at home who wouldn't have gone, and we start the spread. But we're saying, everyone, please, 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 let us take the responsibility this weekend. I want to say a little bit more. Today we received a delegation at the Council of Churches of women that are crying because of gender-based violence, which they're saying is in our churches. And that they say it happens a lot during Easter, because that's when a lot of people come before the pastor. We are saying that we will work with them and make sure, and we're saying that Good Friday is a time when all these pains, including the COVID pains, must be mounted on the cross of the crucified Christ, especially the issues of the women, because it is the women who are responsible for the faith we have. They saw the resurrection and gave it to us. They are the midwives of our faith. South Africa, please take care of women and girl children.
Thank you very much, Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches.